Welcome to WinBidPro version 16 by GDS Estimating. This is an introductory video that kind of gets you familiar with how the program works if you're brand new to the program. So this is the login window you would see once the program starts up. And if you've downloaded the software from our website and run the installer, after the program's been installed, it'll just launch this automatically. So basically, you would need an account. So if you don't already have an account for GDS, and this is if you're entirely new or you've been invited by a company to be added to their account, you will have to go to our website, and under our more menu option here at the top, there is a login button. You need to click that, and that's going to take you to this window, and then you can see create a GDS estimating user account. Typically, if your company already has our software and you're new to the company, they would add you as a user, and you would get an email adding you to their account, or to request adding you to the account. Otherwise, if you're brand new to our whole company, then this is where you would go to create an account. Okay, back to the program. So here, the account is basically just your email address and password. And there's one thing we do to make it a little easier so you don't have to log in all the time every time you open the program, is to check this box, and it'll say stay logged in for 1 week. So that's a little more convenient. And then the first thing we're going to see is this welcome window, or welcome tab. So here we've got some quick tips that show you some things that are of interest in the program. I can actually scroll through them, or they'll do it on their own time kind of schedule, but we'll be updating these types of slides and little videos to show different things so you get different tips. But for now, the very first thing you would see also when you first start the program is a list of vendor catalogs to select from. Now the list would look something like this, where you pick catalogs on the left and then you say add them to my list. And basically it's adding those catalogs to your company account so that any other users on your company account would see all the same catalogs. So I've got some catalogs there already, so I'm going to close that. Now it's time to create a new job. So a new job just means I want to select a manufacturer that has already been added, and give a name to my job. So the jobs window, let's say you have a bunch of jobs in here, all the jobs are going to be in one list. So that job will be associated to a catalog, but all the jobs will be shown together with multiple catalogs if that's what you're using. So here's where I would pick the finish color, which is how it knows what pricing to use in the catalog that you're selecting. And I hit create. So now we get our new elevation window. So there's 3 different types of new elevations. So the first one's a standard elevation, which is like multiple panels, maybe an entrance and side lights, that type of thing. And then punched entrance just means it's one panel with one entrance in it. So there's no side lights, there's no transom. And then there's a transom punched opening, which has a transom and is just an entrance. So these prevent the need from selecting a framing system like we'll do now with a standard elevation. So I'm just going to give this a quick name for the elevation. So this is more of a description. And then you have a code. It'll automatically enumerate the code for you, but if you want to match your plans with whatever's on the plans, then you can type in that code here. And this shows up in different reports. It also shows up on the cut list, where your cut pieces are displayed for how to cut stock lengths in different parts. So it's pretty helpful for that to have a good code. All right. So now I'm going to browse the framing systems for this manufacturer. And there's a lot to know about these browse windows, and they're all pretty much the same. I can either search for a certain type of frame, and it's going to show a result for what I'm typing. I can also hit these little filters, filter icons, and I can click. There's a lot of power down here for these, but I can quickly click like what's available and say I only want to search for that. And then I can go to the next, like profile, and I can say I only want 2-inch profile systems and I only want center glazed. So that really narrows down the list quite a bit. So now I can say, okay, I'm going to use this system here, center set inside glazed. So when I select that and hit save, it's going to take us to the first elevation drawing window. And it's blank right now, but this is where we create our drawing. And we can tell it the quantity for this same drawing. I'm just going to leave it at 1. We can tell it how many panels we want. So you're probably working off a set of plans for this, but I'm going to make this up. So panels are always bays or columns or vertically interrupted pieces in the elevation. So now I'm going to put in a width. So let's say I can enter decimal values and it's going to convert them to fractions. I could also enter fractions. So keep that in mind. And then I get my basic drawing. So you can see how the panels are drawn and the numbers are given to them. We've also got default caulk joints. A lot of the catalogs have these pre-configured. Some of them don't, and you can always edit and change those values here. And you can also edit the master frames from that list that we originally browsed. We can go back to that list by going to Catalogs Frames, and you know which catalog you're in here. Selecting it, and whatever changes we make there, it's going to make a copy of that system just for your company and save whatever changes you're making. So it's always going to have a default frame from the manufacturer, and then it's going to be able to save a copy when you make changes. So it's kind of the best of both worlds there, because those default frames can get updated by us and then published, and then you'll receive updated frames in your list the next time you open the program. So it's pretty cool the way, because it's all cloud-based data. All your information's on the cloud, the catalogs, your jobs, all that. So that's why it's easy to share them between other users in a company, and it's easy to get real-time updates when things are updated, both pricing, new systems, parts, all that stuff. So that's a real beauty of this version 16 program. Okay, we've got our basic elevation, we've got caulk joints. I see some dimensioning here showing my caulk joints. You can see the hatching there. So now it's time to make this more like a real elevation. So get familiar with these controls up here. I can zoom to fit easily with those. Let's say I want to add horizontals. You'll notice that the panels are highlighted in green and they've got check marks. If I hit none, then none of them are selected. So the green means they're selected. I can actually click on panels to select them. So you've got a lot of versatility with the interface in that area. So different types of horizontals can be added. Different horizontal assemblies can be added. The assemblies are actually configured in the framing systems. So this is how you would apply different horizontals to different rows or different places in the elevation. So all that flexibility is built in there. So if there aren't alternate horizontal assemblies, it's easy to add them just by adding the parts that are needed. So same goes for verticals, heads. Every component can have an alternate. All right, so let's say this first row of horizontals is going to be at 32 inches from the finished floor. I can actually tell it where it's coming from, or where this measurement is coming from, but that's probably the most common. So it draws that in right away. Now I can easily put, right now we want to make sure we don't add a 0 to this, but I can easily put horizontals at the door head height if I know I'm going to be adding an entrance, or if it needs to match an entrance elevation. So now let's say I'm done. I've added my horizontals. It shows me a list of them here. I can actually edit the heights of them here. I can change the assembly for them. I can edit, delete, all that stuff. So now it's time to add an entrance.